It is the Riot Podcast. Friday, August 25th, 26th, National Dog Day.
I saw you looked up. I'm like, surely he's not looking up to see if it's Friday.
Yeah, no, I knew it was Friday, 26th of August.
Happy National Dog Day. So if, depending on whenever you're listening to this podcast, it might be further down in the grid, but hop over to RadioU Official on our Instagram page to check out some of our doggies that we have.
In honor of National Dog Day, I went ahead and just called the groomer because, yet again, my dog Jim smells...
going in?
He smells terrible. He needs, like, his weekly grooming thing, so this isn't really special for him because he goes every week.
Why don't you just have a standing appointment then?
See, I should have. When I tried to tell them, like, very early on when I first started bringing Jim to the groomer because I knew he's just a stinky dog, I was like, do you guys have, like, any programs where I can get, like, 3 washes a month or whatever? And they didn't have any of that set up. And I think at the time, they didn't really realize, like, the Jim was going to come literally every single week. And so now we've gotten to a much more friendly basis where they do special things for Jim because he is such a regular. And so I just called just now, and I was like, hello, and they recognized my voice right away. They're like, oh, does Jim want to come in? I'm like, yes. I'm like, he smells literally terrible. He smells like urine for whatever reason. I don't know what it is this time. There's always something. And they were like, when do you want to get him in? I was like, please, if I get him in today, that'd be great. They said, we don't have any appointments left for today. They said our last open appointment was at 8:15. If you want to bring him over right now, you can always bring Jim over. And so he's heading to the groomer right now.
He's on his way.
He's going to get on in there.
He's got a chauffeur taking him, huh?
So he'll get dropped off over there, and once he walks through the door, they're all like, Mr. Jim! And then he walks in. He's all happy to see him. They say, for whatever reason, he's great at the groomer. He doesn't mind getting a bath and whatnot. So hopefully he'll come back today. He'll smell good.
Well,
a couple days from now, he'll probably smell bad.
You need to just tell me, like, hey, even when I go to the car wash, I have, like, a punch card thing. Like, you have to come up with something.
Really? I'm like, give me some sort of reward. They literally told me that Jim is the most groomed dog at the groomer because he literally goes like once a week.
Well, you should, because like when my dogs would go to doggy camp, like during the day, you could pre-book doggy camp days, so you'd buy like a bulk amount of them, and then it was cheaper.
They give me 150 grooms on this pupper. I'll pay all up front. I'll pay $1,000 worth. I want you to come get him from my house. I live right behind the groomer. Come get him from my house, bring him over, and just give him a bath. You can use my bath if you want. He loves the bath. He'll freeze in there. He's great. And so, yeah, Jim yet again for National Dog Day. Gonna get scrubbed up. It'll last a couple hours probably before he smells bad again.
Do you have a day of the week that's like best to get Jim groomed on? Because you don't see him as much during the week, so you do it on Friday so he smells good for the weekend?
See, I do it on Fridays because, like, during the week, like, it's just usually Andrew and I, like, at the house hanging out with him, which, like, we'll put up with, like, his stinky smell. We know he smells bad.
But you have guests?
I usually have guests over on the weekends, and so I'm like, I don't want him to smell bad, smell up the whole house. I want the house to smell, like, at its best for the weekends. Also, like, by the time, like, he's went through a full week, like, he usually smells the worst on Fridays. And, like, on Fridays and Saturdays is when, like, I'm most likely to, like, be out doing things not as much at the house. And so when he goes to the groomer, I act as if that's, like, a play date for him. And so he has, like, a real exciting day today. He'll be there all day.
So he doesn't feel like daddy's abandoned him in a way?
Exactly. He'll get there right now, and then he's going to be there until, like, 4 o'clock, and they will do all kinds of stuff with him. It's like a groomer play date, so now I can justify doing something fun tonight. I'll be like, Jim had a great day today. He went to the groomer. Like, he loves the groomer.
You take a nap before you go pick him up.
Yeah. I'm like, he loves it there. They love him, and so that's how I justify Fridays as the best day.
Nice.
That's Jim talk.
There it is.
Yeah, we also talked about a certain club that is getting rid of staring without consent.
What did you think about that? You feel like the most likely of the three of us to go to a club.
I thought you were going to say stare.
Yeah, also that.
I love staring. I think there's like a couple of different kinds of staring. Like if you're out and about, and it's not about you actually staring at them. It's about like the reciprocation. It's kind of like what's it called when you're trying to talk to somebody without saying anything? Nonverbal communication.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I'm looking for. And so the different forms, like if you're staring at somebody out and about, let's say I'm looking at a female, there's a couple of different faces she could give back to me, right? The first one's like the blank stare. If I receive that back, not interested.
Nothing. It's empty.
Nothing. Then the second one is like the slight smirk. You know, if she gives me like a little bit of a smile. Now, that's like a hard one to read. She could just be nice. That could be her normal face. Or very into me. So on that one, for me personally, that's an approach. And then the third one we've got like the gremlin smile, which is like she caught me staring at her, right?
Uh-oh.
And so she's like looking at me kind of like
You slide
like
dog.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And then that's like an immediate like, come over here. And
You're
so those
supposed
are the
to go
different
over
ones.
to her.
Either one, come over here. I'll go over to you. But those are the different ones that you can do. It's all about the
That you can't
the
do
reciprocations. But in this club,
now
you
at
can't
this
even
club,
stare.
yeah.
How am I possibly going to pick up a girl if I can't stare at her for 15 minutes?
That's why they said at this club they don't want people there to pick people
They literally
up.
said that.
So they said
That's
that
wild.
if you're staring at someone that's usually associated with trying to introduce or meet someone, and they don't want you to do that there,
Or
I
just
read
being
through,
creepy also.
Yeah, I read through the new rules. Like they were updating everybody, and it sounds like the worst place ever. And I mean, I know you don't want someone staring at you in a rude way, but also like you have to have a little fun there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
it's
Nikki,
like the social interaction, you know? Like you go there to meet new people and stuff. It doesn't have to be anything creepy.
Well,
Obviously,
you
there
would
are
maybe you
people
just
there.
want to go and
Be
dance.
arrested.
I would
Yeah,
for sure
you
be
wouldn't last
kicked
a
out within
second.
5 minutes.
wouldn't
They're like,
last
this
a
guy
second.
stared at 7 people in a matter of just 3
Never
minutes.
seen anything like it.
It's incredible the numbers he's putting up.
He would have the most complaints out of everybody. So, but there's more to it.
does,
So
actually, when you think about it, it almost makes it sound like it'd be like the awkward middle school dance where everybody's just looking down.
Looking
at the
down?
ground 'cause they
Like,
know
how
they
are
can't
you supposed to
stare.
introduce
Yeah.
yourself? I can't stare at you first. How am I supposed to know? I'm going in blind. Like, hello? I didn't get to really look at you much, but you look kind of cute from like the corner
But
of
I
my
wasn't
eye.
looking.
I was trying not to get caught, but you looked kind of cute.
I just don't think it would work for you. At least not
No,
there.
that would
Well,
not be one I would frequent regularly, I don't think.
Enjoy the podcast. There's lots of other fun stuff. And please do definitely text in a pic of your dog for National Dog Day at 877-2-RADIO-U. Include your name and we'll know you're from the podcast. Or if you hop over to Radio U on Facebook, post it in the post there with our doggies.
That'll do.
Enjoy the day.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
This is Radio U's Worst of the Riot.
Just want to check in on the year. Yes, it is 2022. And I have an update here from the Cassville School District, which is in southwest Missouri. Isaiah, I thought you'd be happy to hear that they have decided to reinstitute paddling
Spanking.
on their
Bring him back.
students.
They must have heard the segment the other day about Jim's behavioral issues and then my
Jim, who
attempt
is
to
your
fix
dog, not a child.
them. Yes,
just to
Jim
be
is my
clear.
dog.
Because we found out that Isaiah will paddle, will
I
spank
don't
his
paddle.
dog.
There's a difference between paddling and spanking. Paddling is using a paddle. I don't use a paddle
Is
on
that
my
where you draw the
60-pound
line?
dog.
That's where you
to be a
draw
little bit
the line.
much. I do spank him
But on a
barehanded.
60-pound child, Missouri's like, yep.
Well,
sounds
you know,
good.
different pain tolerance. Jim probably has a higher one.
So
Yeah.
they say that it is a last resort, though. So, like, if you did wrong and you were in this school district, it's not like you got paddled first. Basically, they say it's a last resort and with permission from your parents. I think your parents would give permission.
My parents would for sure be like, paddle him. Do it.
They
He's
say,
getting it when he gets home, too. We'll double down.
Look in his eyes, and you'll see he needs to be paddled.
So that is if you want a alternative to suspension. So if you were going to be suspended and you wanted to bypass that, you could be paddled by them.
Does it say what age, or is it just for like the entire like K through 12 situation?
I can't imagine in 12th grade they'd feel comfortable
I also can't
paddling.
imagine in kindergarten. I hope.
yeah.
I
that's
think
true.
the 12th graders need it more than the kindergartners do.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because like a suspension, like when you get into high school, at least when I was in high school, like kids that got suspended, they just didn't care. Like they would just go to like ISS, like in school suspension, and they would just hang out in there. Like it wasn't even like they were suspended; they would just go there and hang out. So like I think having the alternative of paddling them instead maybe can motivate some of these delinquents.
Can you imagine if your teacher paddled you or like your principal?
Or would they just
Or
have a
does your
paddling
parent-
guy?
Or does your
No.
parents come in and like your dad
That
paddles
would be
you?
probably nice if they could supervise, wouldn't it?
Gosh, it's weird.
Probably feels appropriate, but yeah, what if they just bring in a guy that's like, this
The
is the
paddler.
The paddler?
Yeah.
There's probably like the high school football coach who also teaches gym. That is who's paddling you. It's your
And
high
then
school football coach.
Does the paddle stay in the office, like out as a
Oh, it has
deterrent?
to,
Oh, it's
right?
it's
hanging on
advertised.
every wall in
It
every
is
classroom.
advertised.
And when things get a little out of hand, the teacher just gives it a little look, gives it a point.
I'm sorry, but I think I have a defiant personality to where if they're like, okay, we're going to paddle, you'd be like, you're going to what?
Yeah, we're doing what now?
What's this?
Oh, yeah?
I don't care if you have my parents' permission.
I'll sue. I will sue you. Just try to paddle. This is the year 2022. See what happens.
Well, let's just throw this out there to everybody. All right, so let's imagine you were in 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. You were still in school, and you were going to be suspended, and maybe it was a pretty good amount of time. Would you take the paddle from the paddler as an alternate to not have to be suspended? So text if that's a yes or a no to the paddling.
What a question.
To 877 to Radio U.
But what would you choose versus what would be more effective to turning you into a better and brighter student?
I don't know.
I don't know if either
would
really
help.
works, right? Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like getting paddled, like it's not only that you got paddled, like hurts. It's also like the embarrassment. Like I'm like 17 years old. I hope there's like an audience too. That'd be great if you get an audience out there. If you
Put you
getting
in the
paddled,
stocks,
maybe you
basically,
get a tear
in the
going
center
down.
of town.
You'll never do that again. I'll tell you that much. If you get paddled in front of the whole school in the cafeteria, you're never gonna make that same mistake again. You're just not gonna do it.
What if you're the guy? Or gal? You're so tough. Like you go up there, you take the paddling, you don't show any emotion,
show
whatever,
anything.
and then it's like, there's nothing we can do to
You
this guy.
win.
You rule the school at that point.
Well,
Yeah.
text in or has anybody paddled you?
Have you been paddled in school?
Is this something that we didn't know you could do?
Support or against the paddling?
Maybe like in the outer areas, paddling was always still a thing.
I think so. I mean, they were doing this until 2001 anyway, so it
Wow.
hasn't even been that long.
Well,
Man.
text at 877 to Radio U. I would like to hear people's views on this.
Yeah, different world.
Bring back the paddle, baby.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.
Getting a little concerned here. We're talking about in a school district in Southwest Missouri, the Cassville School District. They have decided to reinstitute paddling as a punishment for their students. They say it's a last resort and only with parents' permission.
Instead of suspension.
Instead of suspension, if they feel like they've exhausted all other options, they'll go with the paddling. And so the question is, what do you think of that?
Well, I didn't know, like in some school districts, I'm not saying we were city people, but we didn't have like paddling.
Yeah.
But in some areas, I guess they always did.
I was homeschooled. I didn't
Your
get.
mom could paddle.
My dad's hand was the paddle, and I think eventually though they realized like maybe this is the thing. If you get paddled from a young age, maybe you just build up a tolerance.
Sure.
What do you think, Isaiah? You were beaten as a child too.
I was not beaten. I was paddled. There's a difference.
Your dad called it. Or
My dad texted in. My dad texted in, shocker. He said, when I was in school, that is exactly what our rules were. Paddling or suspension. Next text,
And that is-
I am all for paddling.
That's why you spank your
Shocker.
dog.
That's
Look
right.
at that.
Hey, you know
right.
what? And that's okay. I think paddling, I'm all for it as well.
But
So-
don't you think that teaches you though that I think you build up a tolerance. I think by the time I was 12, like from 8 to 12, they maybe
didn't bother
spanked
you?
me, and then by 12, I was like, whatever. I've got calluses back there now. What's the big deal?
Go ahead.
Yeah, right.
Well, let's see. Matthew said, I got paddled in high school for a scuffle on the basketball court. My dad paddled me harder when I got home.
Dang. Did it work on you?
Let's see. Tom says, I think he enjoyed the name, the paddler, if you were in school. And then Nicole said, my brother and I had the paddle my mom and dad used to use when we were younger. But again, if you were at school, like how weird would that be?
They've
Yeah,
got
I
a
think it's
backup paddle,
good.
too.
I think you should be paddled at school. I think it's a one of those things that it should be like an even amount of like fearing your teachers as well as like respecting them as well.
You think that would make you respect them?
I think it would because kids now just have no respect for teachers.
That's
They'll
you.
curse. No, that's not me. I'll tell you one thing. Was completely.
24.
I was super respectful to teachers because I knew that if I was disrespectful when I went home, I would get absolutely smacked on the bottom. And if kids now will just curse back at teachers, it's 100% true. They're way, way worse than they were before. And the reason for that is because they have no respect for
Back
them.
in Isaiah's
They
day,
have no respect for
5
them.
years ago.
You just graduated.
Yeah, and I respected teachers. Want to know why? Because I feared my parents. If I went home when I was bad, I was afraid to go home. Kids now, they aren't afraid anymore.
You're so funny. All right. Well, I think everybody has their thoughts on this.
It's amazing. I don't know if it's a representative sample, but we have overwhelming support for paddling. I guess I get the idea of last resort, like it does feel like we've tried all the other things and they don't seem to be
But
working.
I can't tell if your guys' support is like, yeah, I would take paddling, or you would inflict
or
paddling.
is it, I went through paddling and everybody else should have to suffer like I did?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, where is this all coming from? But nevertheless, a lot of people seem to be on board with the paddling. They
right,
seem to be on the paddle board.
Next step is it shows up at your work.
Yeah, that's right.
Paddle
Be careful
me.
what you wish
Who's
for.
in charge of the hammer? I'll paddle him. Not afraid. Bring one to work.
It's not about being afraid. Isn't it embarrassing?
It would be. That's the best part.
This is The Riot. Radio U.
We have a nightclub here that has instituted, I guess you could say, a controversial policy. This is a nightclub in Sydney, Australia. Foster's. I don't need to do that. What am I doing?
You're fine.
I don't need to do all the word association that I have in my mind. In Sydney, Australia, there is a nightclub that has instituted a policy where they are banning the act of staring.
Staring at a person?
You cannot stare at a person as per nightclub rules, as per Club 77 rules in Darlinghurst in Sydney. You will not be allowed to stare at anyone because they want to make it feel like a safe space where everybody can just have a good time. Unless your idea of having a good time is staring,
You're not allowed
then
to.
you're not allowed to do that.
Well, you can. You just have to have consent from the person.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So they're saying that if you want to stare at someone or continue staring, you have to get the okay from them. They want to discourage people from someone having the sole purpose to pick someone up at a club, which also imagine that.
Yeah.
And they don't want that. So they could call the police on you if someone complains.
Or sick the bouncer on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what do you think of this, Nikki? At first, I thought this is creepy, but actually, given the circumstance, it might be kind of a fun, goofy way to introduce yourself to somebody.
As you're being taken away?
No. I just mean like you go up to, either a man, woman, either way. You could go up and do this. You could say,
Wait, we're
"Excuse
walking
me."
over. We're walking over.
Excuse me. If it was me, it'd be a woman. So I'd say, "Excuse me,
You're
miss."
in Australia.
Do I have to do an accent, or
Do you
could I
want
be
this real or not?
I'd be the cool American guy in Australia. You think
my
they'd like that or no?
Yeah, okay, maybe.
And I'd say, "Excuse me, miss. Can I have your consent to stare at you?"
And then I'd be like, good day.
Yeah, that's right.
Crikey, you want to stare at
Crikey,
me?
yeah.
That's
Does
all I know.
crikey equal consent in
Maybe.
Australia?
Like, wow.
Yeah. See, now it depends on maybe how you deliver that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like anywhere else, like if you just go to a club here and you'd say, "Excuse me, do you mind if I stare?" That could be creepy. That sounds pretty creepy. I don't think it's going to work. But
No,
if
it'd
everybody
be-
knows as it's posted on the wall, it's like, this is the no staring club, and you have to get consent.
Sure.
I feel like that actually could be a fun way to do it.
Well, someone would
But
be
I don't
like,
know. I don't trust my dating instincts whatsoever.
they would add in like can I stare? Because it seems like you've fallen from heaven. and
yeah.
want to make sure you're fine.
Then it
Something
feels like you're
that.
trying too hard.
They're
But I
trying.
don't know. Maybe you would appreciate that. I don't know.
I mean, people have, like, if someone stares at you in a rude way, that's one thing. But I also know a lot of people that just stare off in the distance.
Yeah.
So what if
I'm
someone.
kind of like that.
what
Some
if
people just
someone
have weird eyes.
Yeah, they're just in the way of where you're staring.
Yeah, you were looking at something else and they just got in the way and never moved. I don't know. I think this doesn't go far enough. They need to ban glancing.
Glancing?
Yeah.
Dancing and glancing?
No dancing. I mean, dancing is. This club is for dancing, not glancing. Yeah, I think, that can be harmful too. I think we
right.
got to watch, keep your eyes where they need to be, which is not staring or glancing at people.
Well, I see what Club 77 or 77 is trying to do.
Yeah.
But it also just makes you pretty, just aware of maybe it's not the best place to go.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like this, in a way, could just make you feel more uncomfortable because you're so concerned with not staring that you can't just be your natural self.
You're right.
But at the same time, and you definitely don't want to be the person who has the reputation for getting thrown out of Club 77. It's like, that's the staring guy. You don't want to date him. Stay far, far away.
There's tales of you at all
He's
the
a creep.
clubs.
Yeah, you're known. He's the staring guy.
Hudson, Nikki, The Riot on Radio U.
Exciting day. Not only is it National Dog Day, but it is, by the way, if you want to see our dogs on the Radio U Riot Facebook page, the Radio U Facebook page, or at RadioU Official on Instagram, go right ahead and
You're
send your
welcome
dog
to.
pics in at 877 to RadioU. But it's also an exciting day because it is College Football Eve. Tomorrow night,
Yay.
or tomorrow
Come on,
at
guys, let's bring
noon
it up.
Eastern,
Come on.
we've got college
I know it's no
football.
good games, but come on.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. It's I've heard it described as like when you go to a restaurant and they bring you out rolls before the meal.
Oh, that's
what it's
good.
like. It's like the rolls before the meal, and usually the rolls are actually sometimes are pretty good.
Pretty good.
I would say like more like maybe like a lemon water when they bring out your waters.
Wow.
That's like what I'm going to compare this to.
Oh, come
and then
on.
The rolls
next
are way too good for
weekend
this.
is the rolls and the actual food.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow there is 7 games. Most of them aren't teams that are expected to be very good.
Yeah.
But then again, like there's only 5 teams in college football that are expected to be good. It's Alabama, Ohio State, and who cares? So here's what I want to know for you guys. I'm not going to ask too much about the games tomorrow, but does anybody have a controversial take, a controversial prediction for the college football season as it gets ready to get started?
Oh, like ahead of time?
Yeah, like once the season's all done, looking back, what's something you think that you can predict now that you hope to get right?
Let me just guess and say like Alabama will lose every game.
Yeah,
Just teasing.
that's controversial.
That's controversial.
That is, yeah.
But you got to go something so far to the other
You
side.
got to be big, yeah.
And
go
just in
big.
case it happens.
Yeah. You got one, Isaiah?
See, for me, I think it's more like college football playoff related. As I look at like the teams that are ranked like at the very top right now, I can tell you like multiple teams that I can X and A from the college football playoff right now.
Okay, go
The
for
first
it.
one, the easiest one, is obviously Notre Dame. They take an L in week 1 to Ohio State. It's going to be really hard to recover from that. And so Notre Dame, you can go in if you're going to make your college football playoff bets right now. I would not include Notre Dame. Also, then we look at the other teams that are ranked in the top 6. We've got Texas A&M, Georgia, and Alabama, 3 SEC teams. There's realistically only going to be one of those that are actually going to make the college football playoff. Ohio
Really?
State, obviously, we're going to put in. Clemson at number 4. I don't buy them making it. The only ones that really intrigue me outside of that, Utah sitting at 7 intrigues me because the Pac-12 is so weak. And then Michigan, obviously, X-nay them. They lose to Ohio State at the end of the year. Not going to be inside. Oklahoma, Baylor at 9 and 10 is probably the last team to get in.
I feel like I should have written all that down.
Yeah.
I know. So there's
I
your
don't
college football playoff bets. You can next name multiple of those teams. Number 1, Notre Dame.
Sounds to me that Isaiah thinks there should be only 2 teams in the college football playoff, which actually might be accurate in a year like this. I don't know. It's hard to say before the
then
season, but we could just dump
We don't
some
need the
of the
whole
teams.
season. Why don't we just shoot right to the championship
That's the problem
game?
with college football, isn't it? That as fun as it is, we play a whole season to get the same result pretty much every time.
Listen, guys, it's just fun to watch the games.
Yeah.
Like even if there's nothing big tomorrow, like it's just nice to watch some games.
It is. It's just a good time. I'm predicting. I'll do playoff stuff. I think Alabama's in. I think Ohio State is in. I think Clemson probably makes it in. And then I think the 4th team will be a team that has never been in the playoff before. Who will that be? Who will that be? Now, who do I want to stake my? Who do
Your
I want to
bets on?
hang my
Who's your
hat
claim
on?
going to be?
I'm gonna go with Texas.
Ooh.
Texas.
Gonna take Texas.
You
yeah.
wild man.
They've got a
You
coach with a
wild
lot
man.
of potential. They've got a great quarterback, at least supposedly a highly touted quarterback, Quinn Ewers. You might remember him from not getting the starting job at Ohio State, but even being the second best quarterback at Ohio State is pretty good. So he should thrive there. Plus, they play in what is a conference that has a lot of tests, the Big 12, but at the same time, it's not the strongest conference top to bottom. So I think Texas is going to, and it's a big name, so the committee would be happy for TV stuff to put them in there.
Yeah, so that's your predictions.
That's my prediction.
So what's the Ireland game again today or tomorrow? Or
That is Nebraska and Northwestern.
Okay.
You know, the Irish teams.
I mean, just 2 powerhouses, baby.
Yeah.
You talk about college football playoff. How do we not mention Nebraska and Northwestern?
I think
that's a fun game.
Nebraska could be another surprise pick. I think they just might be in the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. I'll say it.
I for sure could see them at least 6 wins. I'll mark them down for that for now.
That'd be a big year for them, the way
be a
things have
heck of a
gone.
year.
You know?
I love college football sass.
Isn't it? It's going to be fun.
Thanks for watching the worst of the riot. Since you made it this far, you might as well like, subscribe, and check out riot.radiou.com for even more riot.